So you're talking about space debris. Yeah, it is a very big opportunity there in the space debris sector, because we are sending like thousands of satellites every year. We are putting a lot of rocket waste there in space. No one is talking about how can we remove that. A lot of, and there are people, but they are just talking about that. They are not taking any measures. Like a lot of policies have been implemented now, that if you launch a satellite, you should have a deorbiting mechanism that can bring your satellite back into orbit. You can just crash land it and you can burn it in the atmosphere, and that is how you can reduce the waste in space. But if you talk about the space waste, the waste which is already there, it's very difficult to remove that. But you can always take care while launching new stuff in space. So now a lot of rockets, what they do is that their body enters the Earth's atmosphere, they get burnt up. And if you talk about the satellites, they ultimately their orbits get size of orbits get reduced, and they enter the atmosphere, they get burned up. So now the lot of agencies will be working on that as well. Like there are a lot of ideas, but they all are right now just design on paper, not implemented.
I would like to ask a question.
Sure,
It's an
sure, sir.
entrepreneurial question. I would like to know what are the business opportunities we have in the space of aeronautics or space. I mean, any good
Okay.
entrepreneurial business models over there?
Yeah, I would surely like to share one of the models that we already are following. Like, if you talk about this industry, a lot of people think that by building satellites, by building the rockets, you'll earn a lot of money, and that's true at some extent, but it will take a lot of time. Like 10 to 12 year at least. And if you talk about India, it can take more of time. But yeah, so if you talk about business point of view in this industry, you can be a rocket company, you can build rockets for the small satellites, because a lot of small satellites are going to be manufactured in next 10 years. I guess more than 8,000. Last year I checked the report, it was 6,000. This time it increased by 2,000, so it is 8,000 satellites. So every year the demand is scaling up exponentially. And then if you see on the opposite side of it, like the number of rocket companies which are coming up, they are very less. So obviously, few companies are not going to meet up the demand of the launch services for the small satellites. So there is a lot of space in the rocket industry, and that is also what we aspire for. At the if you talk about the longer approach of Star, like we want to be a launch vehicle company in future. Second thing, like if you talk about any segment like medical, if you talk about IT, if you talk about social media, if you talk about any segment, every segment have one king globally. If you talk about rocket company, there is a SpaceX. If you talk about the medical company, if you talk about enterprises, we have Tata. If you talk about social media, we have Facebook. Every domain have a king globally. But if you talk about space education, there is not a single king present. You don't know in any company who is into space education, who allows you to try your hands on the space tech. So that is the place where we found out that there is no king there, but there is no, and what the purpose of the king should be. It should not be to rule over people. It should be to serve your people. So that is a place where we found out right opportunity, that let's do something at this place. And let me tell you, we started in 2015. We started our internship program in 2018. Since 2018 to 2020, 12 companies came out of Star from my company. Like interns who did internship from us, who learned things from us, they started their own space education company. And it feels so good to us that the message that we want to spread, that space is for everyone. Now these companies are working really hard to help us out to reach our target. So this is a place where there is a lot of opportunity, space education. And like, see, if you talk about rocket companies, I don't know about very long term mission, but if you talk about education, it is never going to get stopped. Education is always going to be there till the world ends. So this is a never ending market, and so that is the reason there are a lot of opportunities in this domain. Again, one thing I would like to share to all people who want to be an entrepreneur, like we generally, what we do is we have a tendency of competing with other companies. Like we think that one task we are doing, and if other company is doing, we get afraid of them, and we always try to compete with them. But I'm a very big fan of Simon Sinek, and I don't know how many of you know Simon Sinek, but I have heard about one of the theory, and that is what we follow at Star. We call it finite and infinite games. So there are two systems. One is finite, second is infinite. Finite system means where The set of rules are common, they are defined. Second, you know your competitors and you know where is the finish line, like an athlete. Now, athlete knows who are the competitors. He know, and set of rules are defined that the person who will reach to the finish line first, he will be ultimate winner. And you also know your finish line. Business is the world where you don't know your competitors. Like a lot of people can work on a similar idea at any corner of the globe. Globe doesn't have a corner, but any place on the globe, right? Second, you don't have a set of rules. You can work in the way you want to do. There is no particular method to to run a company, right? You can do anything you want to do, any strategy you want to apply. Third thing, there is no finish line. It is never said that you will when you achieve the 1 billion target, you will be successful company. No, right? So in business world, there are no winners or no losers. There are only survivors, right? Simon Sinek went to one of the education. So every big company they have education summits. Like even Apple and Microsoft they does. So he was invited to Microsoft's education summit. He went there, and every employee was was giving a presentation on how they can work on their education system. 70 to 80% of the Microsoft's employee focused on how can they be better than Apple. Their presentation were based on how they can be better than Apple or how can they be the next Apple. But in Apple's education summit, all of the employees were focusing and their presentation were focused on how they can improve the quality of education and how they can bring on new tools in this domain. So in one side, the company is trying to play a finite game where they are trying to be a next company or defeat next company, but there is one company who is already focusing on on evolving the technology and by serving in a better manner to the people. So always remember one thing: you never are going to be a loser or a winner. You are only going to be a survivor. And this thing, keep in mind, if someone is starting a similar company like you, just recall the passion that you had when you started that company, and you know that you were damn passionate and you were able to do this because you were passionate. And if you're not passionate, you would have shut it down. And this will help you out. Now, I would like to discuss last thing, that is, whenever we select any task, we select it on our basis of our interest. But there is a keen difference between interest and passion. So what is the difference between interest and passion? Interest is like a crush that keeps on changing every day. हमारी crush हर रोज बदलती है, right? If you fight with your crush, you are not going to talk to her and get it solved, right? You will change your crush. You will have another one. But and if you talk about passion, then passion is like a wife. Like when you fight with your wife, what you do is you ultimately sit down, you take out your time, you discuss the problems you have, and then you try to solve the problems. You will never leave your wife. And uh, this is what happens with your work. Whenever we select any work or any task on the basis of interest, when we'll face some struggle, we'll live it. But when we select any task on the basis of our passion, even during the time of struggles, during our journey, we will sit down, we will take a break, we will give a thought, and we will always try to figure out how can we come out of it and we can solve the problem. So this is how you should select your task on the basis of your passion and not just interest.
It is
thank you
really
so much, sir, for sharing your views and motivating all of us.
Pleasure, sir.
thank you so much.
It
Pleasure,
was
sir.
We
really,
almost
really amazing. We needed this.
So any student
So
at
I
any time can can contact me. I'm always there to answer questions. So yeah, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. It was really amazing to be here and to talk to you guys, and even your sir. Thank you so much, sir, for giving me this opportunity. It was really wonderful experience for me as well. I hope you guys enjoyed. I kept it long, but I hope you guys enjoyed.
no, it was very short for us. We really enjoyed. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for
Okay.
your
See you
valuable
guys.
time.